Hello, everybody. I just had an awesome opportunity to speak with one of my friends, Erik Flowers. Just got done interviewing him, and we discussed a lot of things. We discussed him growing up and kind of his childhood and how it helped create him into the man that he is today. We talked about his current job, his past jobs as a correctional officer in the military, things he did growing up, and then his job right now working with veterans at the county here. We also get into some topics of purpose and what it looks like to live with intention and also how to balance all of that. It was an awesome conversation. Can't wait for you guys to hear it. This is episode 3 of the Iron Purpose podcast featuring Erik Flowers. Stay sharp, everybody. All right, everybody, we are back. This is Iron Purpose episode 3. First 2 episodes have been awesome. Been getting some great feedback from everybody, and I really appreciate it. On this week's episode, I do have a friend of mine. He has been someone who's been pretty solid in the Iron Purpose group. Always willing to share advice and help out whenever I've asked. So I really appreciate it. Mr. Erik Flowers, everybody. How you doing, man?
How's it going? Good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
Honored to be here because I wouldn't ever think I'd be in this position to be speaking in front of your audience. So that's great.
And millions of people out there that are tuning in.
Yeah, there will be. That's how it all gets started.
Maybe someday. Hey, maybe someday.
You got a good thing going on. So
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. If anything, I get to talk with people that I wouldn't normally talk to while sitting in my basement after work. So it's pretty cool. It's been a fun experience so far. But yeah, what you been up to lately? I know we kind of talked a little bit beforehand. Talked about hunting. Did you get out opening weekend, or did you have to work or anything like that?
yeah, I've been doing a little bit of bow hunting prior to firearm season, and then I got out with my son during firearm season down by Litchfield where I grew up.
Oh, okay.
Really nice land on the river, so it's been blessed to have that access to that land. But nothing's panned out yet. I don't think they've been moving much at all. I don't think the rut's been hitting yet. So
Right. No, I'm the same way. We've got some land out in Leader, and I can't remember if I already mentioned this or not, but I went out on Saturday because it was my short shift, so I got off early and was able to get out and catch the evening hunt. Didn't see a single thing. Like, whatever. Just went back to camp and had some fun with the guys. Sat around the fire under the stars, which is one of the coolest parts of it, in my opinion. Other than sitting in the tree and watching, nature and creation kind of roll on by. But said my goodbyes and I was leaving. I made it about 2 miles down the deer or away from the deer camp, heading home, and a deer jumped right out in front of me and just smoked it with my car. It's like,
oh, you hit it.
I hit it, yes. While I was
$1,000 deer right there.
yes, if not more. Yeah, I was driving home and I was just like, you got to be kidding me. And I got out and was like, where were you 2 hours ago when I was in the stand with the gun, like waiting for you? But no.
Yeah.
So it's my vehicle's currently in the shop getting looked at. But yeah, it took out like the front bumper right underneath the headlight, my right headlight, and then into the wheel well. Stuff was hanging, and I was like, "You gotta be kidding me!" But shout out to my grandpa. He let me use his truck while my vehicle's in the shop. So it's pretty sweet when you have those hookups.
Absolutely.
But the season's not over yet. I got to go out with my bow a couple times as well. I'm gonna try to get out still because it's nice. It's really convenient to have that venison in the fridge. Or the freezer. We like to just cook it up into burger. Because you don't have to worry about going and getting meat or whatever. You always got burger if you want to just throw it in there real quick. Yeah. It's so convenient.
It's always nice getting a deer, of course. That's the point of hunting, right? But I hunt mostly because it's a time away from everything. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, love going out west, elk hunting. I said I'm going to always go out there no matter what. Once a year, I missed it 1 year, and everybody around me could tell. When I get out hunting, I get my time away where I can reflect, pray, just get my mind and soul right. Like, I'm a better husband, I'm a better father, I'm a better boss, I'm a better person overall. And when I get that 1 week away, and same thing with hunting, even close by, and bow hunting. I just started getting into that this year again. It's been a long time since I had kids, and
Mm-hmm.
get a little bit more time and introducing my son a little bit into it. Those are long sits. I'm used to sitting all day, so if you learn to like bow hunting, you only do like the evenings, right? But
Uh-huh.
I just really like sitting all day, and that's where I kind of get that reflection on my life a little bit. Make
Mm-hmm.
sure that, oh, am I going in the right direction? What can I do better? So yeah,
Right. Do you ever bring a book or anything out there? Or you just kind of sit and watch?
now I just kind of sit and watch. Never brought a book out. I just
Hmm.
think it'd be too awkward.
Yeah.
I've listened to podcasts before,
Oh, sure.
things like that. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, it's just pretty silent. Pretty.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a long time to learn how to be comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Oh,
And
100%.
silence for us these days are, man, that could be uncomfortable. So
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, no, it's I'm getting better and better at it.
Heck yeah. That's awesome. Well, we know you like hunting, but for those of us who don't know much about you, feel free to just share a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, and I don't know what you if you prepared anything, but take it away. What you got? What do we need to know
Now
about Erik
you know
Flowers?
I hardly ever prepare anything at all. Well, my name is Erik Flowers. I grew up in Litchfield, Minnesota. It's a small farming town just south of St. Cloud. Um, a little hobby farm, 13-acre farm. My mom had horses. I was around horses my whole life. My dad had about 300 acres of his own for farming, irrigated land. Um, and then he helped uh, other farmers with larger fields and stuff with harvest as well for them. So, um, lots of chores, lots of hard work that we had to do. You know, if we wanted to go out and go to a friend's place, we'd ride a bike 2 3 miles after we got our chores done,
Dang.
and motivated to quick get everything off the checklist that we'd have every morning, and so we could spend the rest of the day outside. And so I grew up hunting and fishing. And kind of, we were just talking, it reminded us of Luke Bryan's song, right?
Loving every
Hunting, fishing,
day.
loving every day. Yeah. Got my first job when I was 12. Turning the summer I was turning 13. We had a turkey farm about 2 miles north of our farm that I would ride bike to every morning in the summer at 6 o'clock. We'd pick eggs on the hour every hour until 6 at night. So um, I don't know if what that does for child labor laws these days or not, but I was making like $4 an hour, but
Jeez.
it'd be 12-hour days and hard work. I think that was a start between living on my parents' farm and having the responsibilities that I had to do. Um, plenty of things to do, plus also getting a job at an early age kept me busy.
Mm-hmm.
It really instilled the hard work, and you work for what you want. And I was doing pretty good. So after that, got a, you know turned 16, started driving, got a job in town at a Taco John's in Litchfield, making a little bit more money. I was in football, wrestling, uh, great sports to learn
Mm-hmm.
again, discipline, um, sacrifice, all that stuff. Um, got well, I joined the National Guard when I was in the summer, just ready to go into my senior year. Um, Went off to basic training after I graduated and got back. I was already enrolled for community college up in Itasca Community College.
Mm-hmm.
Was joining the wrestling program up there. So when I got back, I missed the first semester, and I went up there a couple months prior to the start of the spring semester and did some wrestling up there. And then I got notified. Well, I volunteered for my deployment. I was kind of quiet about that at the time, but we had a deployment coming up, and so I got 3 months before that was deployed to Kosovo for about a year altogether.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, met my wife prior to that, and dated throughout the deployment and talked every day. And it was that long distance relationship and having to communicate and talk long distance that I think really accelerated our relationship.
Really?
And probably halfway through, I realized that this was the girl I was going to marry. So came back and got a ring, proposed, and we got married in 2005.
Not a boy.
So yeah, yeah. Shortly after that, I had a couple other jobs, applied for the jail, waited a whole year to get brought on. I pretty much gave up like 3, 4 times, and every time I check in, oh yeah, no, we're still looking around. We'll move you on to the next spot, and finally got the job offer in 2007 for Crow Wing County Jail, and quickly moved up there. God's timing, not perfect conditions, right? And it was kind of weird at the time too, but I was promoted within a year to jail sergeant. Yeah. So I was stoked about, right?
Hmm.
But not everybody else was. I could tell, like who is this guy coming in?
Right.
So I learned very quickly, probably at that time. I've had a lot of leadership experience with wrestling, team captain, football, military, and all that stuff. But that was the school of hard knocks right there, learning about leadership and how to lead and how to uh, make an impact. I wouldn't say that I had a chip on my shoulder because that's kind of more of a negative thing, but I guess the chip was more on myself.
Sure.
I wanted to prove that I was the right choice. And
Hmm.
so, not sure exactly. You'd have to ask other people how I did, but I feel like I did all right. So, and then I got out of the military or National Guard after 9.5 years in 2010. Um, working in the jail, as you know, you can have your ups and downs, and it can, you can go through different things like, I would say, depression or
For sure.
what am I doing, things like that. But after I left, I knew that I was missing something. And I found the Brainerd Fire Department was hiring, and I applied for that in 2016 and got hired on. And that was the missing piece. Everything that I've ever done, like I have my own plans sometimes. I went to kind of skipped over a lot of things here. My schooling, I was during the whole time of being deployed and going to school and working at the jail, I was getting my business management degree at Southwest Minnesota State University. Actually, I got 7 different colleges on my transcripts. I'm like, I can't stop. I got to keep going, no matter if I'm deployed or not. If I stop, I'm not going to finish it, right? So,
Uh-huh.
I'm kind of an all or nothing type of guy. But uh, so there, I kind of lost my train of thought. Where was I? I was talking about schooling.
Schooling. I think it's just more of so you got to the fire department.
Yeah, fire
Yeah.
department. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, um, serve it. Every point in my life has always led back to serving others.
Hmm.
I got a call for serving in my professions and everything that I do. National Guard, serving the country. Um, even working for the sheriff's department, serving in public, and
Hmm.
serving in that capacity. Veteran Service Office. That I just recently haven't talked about, but that's my current position right now with the county as a veteran service officer, serving our veterans, fire department, serving our community. I realize that is my purpose, is to serve others. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think that kind of, in a nutshell, tells you exactly who I am.
Yeah. Sums it all up. Clear
Yeah,
as mud. Oh, that's
yeah,
awesome. I appreciate you sharing that. And I was taking a couple notes while we were talking, just stuff to kind of bounce back to. So you grew up on a farm, and you were always busy doing chores. And then you got your first job. You say at 12.
yeah,
You were picking eggs and whatnot.
yeah.
So you don't have a farm right now. Your
Correct.
kids. is there a way that you instill stuff that you learned on the farm with your kids now without having the farm? And if so, does that make sense?
No, it does. I live just north, pretty much in Brainerd. I live in the city of Brainerd, in so I live in a neighborhood, which is I'm okay with. I can live anywhere, right?
Right.
Home is very rumprous, so but it is a different lifestyle for sure. It is a lot harder. Uh, there's less things to do. So how do you
Mm-hmm.
teach your kids how to do hard work? They have to be in sports or an activity,
Mm.
throughout the year. So she's in dance, and she learns that hard work and dedication, uh, at music generally, doing her dancing. That is the one thing she does year round. She's also in band. Ethan's in football in the fall. He does power and conditioning in the winter. He used to do wrestling, got out of it. Kind of broke my heart a little bit, but I'm over it. And then in the spring, it's either baseball, but now he's switched over to lacrosse. So um, we really emphasize that you need to be doing something extracurricular, uh, and not just your school stuff. Uh, for one, extracurricular activities like sports and stuff prove that you typically have better grades, and you learn obviously team sports and stuff. So
Mm.
we really push that a lot. Um, and we've always had the we've always had the mentality that if they want to do something, they're going to dedicate it to that time, even if they don't like it and find out, oh, this isn't what I really like. That's fine, but you're going to stick through it. You're not going to quit. You're going to push through, and you're going to finish your commitment to the team because the team depends on you.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it's over, then you can decide what do you want to do after that. So
Mm-hmm.
um, give them chores around the house. It's all the dishwasher stuff like that. But when they're really young, it's tough to hold anything over their head to really pressure them to do stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now that they're getting older, teenagers, they get a little bit more freedom, so you can take some of those things away if they don't fulfill
Right.
their duties and responsibilities. So it's getting a little bit easier.
Right. And the reason I ask that is I think there's a lot of kids or the younger generation nowadays, like you don't really see, and like you said, child labor laws, you can't, but you don't really see that younger generation stepping up and wanting to do difficult work. They want to just, get rich quick or find the comfortable way through. If it's too difficult, it's like, well, I don't want to do this when I could, little Susie's on TikTok and she's got 1 million views and she's making money and I'm over here working at Wendy's. Like, forget that. I don't want to do that. And we
Yeah,
see these companies like Wendy's or like fast food joints that struggle to keep people working there just because it gets too hard. They don't want to do it anymore. So
yeah,
it's interesting to hear, like, because you learned all that stuff growing up on a farm. Like, it's hard work. You have to do this in order to keep the farm going. And
yeah.
so that's a great idea, implementing other things to keep them busy rather than just allowing them to exist and wander and
I think, yeah, and I think the other thing that we're starting to notice too is leading by example.
mm,
More is caught than taught. So they watch
mm,
us, my wife and I, working out every morning. They know that we work out every morning. Um, we got a few weights downstairs, and just recently this month, beginning of November, um, both Aubrey and Ethan said we're going to commit to a month of working out, doing your workout plan and stuff. So they chose it. They committed. They got the little post-it notes up on the wall that take down every day, and they got a little bit of a reward coming if they complete everything all
yeah.
together. We're going to give them a benefit, but um, there's something about finishing something that you start and commit to that is like you know, it just fills yourself up, and
Mm-hmm.
that confidence. And it's so many people these days, they start stuff and they don't finish. And I'm one of them too. Like I
Mm-hmm.
struggle with that all the time, but
Yes.
it's nice to have accountability. You have to have accountability because you can't be accountable to yourself all the time.
Right.
Um, So my wife is great with accountability. Um, and she is my accountability partner in most things in life. So it's good.
I love that. And it reminds me of I watched a video of Conor McGregor. He's a UFC fighter. Well, I'm a big Michael Chandler fan. He fights this weekend, so shout out Michael Chandler, hoping for a win.
Whoop,
Um,
whoop.
um, Connor had this thing where he's fighting in the gym or whatever, and sparring, and somebody's asking him some questions, and he says like, it's confidence is built when you make promises to yourself and you keep those promises. Like when you set your alarm at night and you wake up the next morning, wake up at that time. If you say you're going to
Yep.
go to the gym when you get off work, go to the gym at that time. If you say you're going to eat this or you say you're not going to drink that, don't drink that. Eat this, eat that. Those little truths that you tell yourself will start to stack up and you start to go, okay, I can do this. And it can build confidence because if you continually lie to yourself, you say, man, I really got to stop watching this or I got to stop listening to that or hanging around those people, and you continually do it, you're just lying to yourself every single time. And then you're like, well, man, well, maybe I can't do it. And you're going to have that self
Yeah.
doubt. And that's something that, I struggle with too. And that procrastination, like, excuse me, I'll start something and then not finish it. Or I will tell myself, yeah, let's go to the gym after work. And then I won't. And then it's like, oh man, no, then you can just start inserting every little adjective of what you think you are now because you're,
Yeah.
not able to fulfill those promises to yourself.
I think I think your bigger why, like a lot of people miss the why or the purpose on what why they're doing what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know you have to have the big enough why of doing the actions that you're doing that doesn't seem that goes against your comfort, right? So why are you waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning? So I can work out. Well, why are you going to work out? Well, because I want
Mm-hmm.
to be healthy. I want to do this. Well, why do you want to be healthy? Why do you want to do that? Well, so I can be at my daughter's wedding and walk her down the aisle, or so I
Mm-hmm.
can see my grandchildren, be able to get down on the ground on the floor with my grandchildren. You got to dream that stuff. You got to
Mm-hmm.
you got to vision it. You got to see it. You got to believe it. And that's what's going to drive the actions that you do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you don't look that far ahead and get that big picture, man, motivation will get you only so far, but motivation doesn't get you to keep going when you don't want to. It's discipline that gets you to keep going when you don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
And and so yeah, you have to have the reasons that are bigger, the whys that are bigger than your why nots. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's huge, very
Absolutely.
big. Yeah.
And it reminds me of I don't remember where I saw this commercial, but it was a commercial of an older guy, and he goes out to his shed, and I can't remember if he picks up a weight or he's picking up like a bucket, and he's doing like a
Yes.
workout, and people are like looking at him like, "What's this guy doing?" And they're wondering, okay, and they keep going out throughout their day, and they see him the next day, and day in and day out, this guy is doing this motion with this weight, and then cuts to the end. I'm getting goosebumps. It cuts to the end,
Yeah.
and he's picking up his grandchild because he's able to do that, and so
Yep.
that's powerful. Because yeah, people, my youngest brother Ethan, he's been wanting to get into the gym too. He's like, I want to be like the Hulk. I'm like, all right, well, let's go. You can help keep me accountable too, because I need to get in there. But he got about 3 days in, and we beat him up pretty good. I feel kind of bad, but because he was hurt and he was really sore. I don't think I could do this anymore, man. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
you can take a break, but when you understand, when you think about your why, it's like, okay, I want to go to the gym because I want to look good. It's like, okay, well, what's,
Yeah.
bigger than that? Okay, yeah, because I want to be able to perform at my job. If I'm, for me, I was having some sciatic nerve issues in my leg, and every time I would get up from a dead sprint and run, like an assistance call, my leg would start to hurt really bad, and I was like, okay, I gotta get this figured out, otherwise, I could be in danger, or somebody else could be in danger. If I'm not able to be my best when my best is required, somebody else is, they may need me. So
Yeah.
I, got in the gym and started working on it. And told my personal trainer, let's hit this area. And sure enough, a couple weeks go by, and I was able to run just fine, no issues at all with that leg injury. So it's like, yeah, put yourself through that fire. Just like iron, the whole iron theme. You're gonna get banged around a
Yep.
little bit. And it's gonna hurt, but at the end of the day, you're gonna be that fine tuned item that you're gonna be able to utilize where it's important in your life.
Yeah. The more whys you can find and that impact different areas in your life and everything, goal that you want to do, the more it's going to stick, you know.
Hmm.
So
Absolutely.
awesome.
So wrestling. I didn't know you wrestled. That's one thing
Yeah.
that I wish I would have got involved in more when I was younger. Because as I'm getting older, I'm really getting into like mixed martial arts and stuff. And I've tried out jujitsu and Muay Thai and some stuff. But what got you into wrestling? Just
My brother was 5 years older than I was. He got into wrestling, and I pretty much did everything my brother did for the most part. Well,
hmm.
I looked up to him, right?
Right.
And so he was wrestling, and my dad was a wrestler in high school as well. So if one brother's going into wrestling, then the other one's going to go too. So I got started in first grade, and like any first grader, just sloppy, looking sloppy, and um, worked my way up to high school. Actually, in eighth grade, I got on varsity. Yeah, and went to state in 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade. So,
Wow.
um, yeah, it something clicked. I was still sloppy at wrestling. I just was a little stronger, and I don't know, knew how to use leverage well.
Right.
I
So
I
I,
drove my coaches crazy. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just gonna like.
yeah. I'm scoring points. Leave me alone. There's a lot of technique behind it. There was a guy that came into takedown, Hayden Zilmer. He's a wrestling guy who he competed in the Olympics, I believe, where he was about to this past time around, but he got one match away and wasn't able to get in there. But I was like, yeah, I'll check it out, and found out it was only for high schoolers that he was doing this class with. It's like, oh, all right. But he's like, I might have one that's kind of your size if you want to come in. And this kid was, I think he was either 15 or 16, but he threw me around. He was, he just, it's crazy what they can do with the right technique.
And jiu-jitsu too is um, it's all technique.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, if you can have strength and technique, even better. But somebody who's crazy strong but doesn't know what to do, they're going to get tapped out every time. So
Right, 100%.
yeah,
Back to kids. I had this question. When you, so you said when your son stopped wrestling, you were kind of like, oh man, at what point, as a parent, in your opinion, do you continue to tell them, hey, you should do this because I had so much fun doing it, regardless of whatever it is? Maybe it's a roller coaster ride or something that they're a little hesitant to do, a little afraid of, a little nervous.
yeah.
Because I believe getting out of your comfort zone is where you can find growth. And there was a lot of times when I was younger when I was about to go down a water slide and I couldn't do it. I said, no, I can't do it. I don't want to do it. Or
Hmm.
whatever it may be. And my dad was like, okay, yeah, it's fine. We wanted to do it this time. And there's times where he pushed me and I cried and resented him for it. Where do you think that fine line is in your experience of pushing them to
Um,
know that they're, you're going to enjoy this, keep going, and then also not having them cry and hate you?
right. I think there's age appropriateness to different things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, my kids really weren't afraid of anything like heights, and they were kind of daredevils because
Mm-hmm.
I was. They would be jumping off of the top of the. I'd set them up on the fridge, and I'd trust falls, right, and I'd catch them. I mean, young age.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Why is the baby on?
so starting off early, like, you know, I don't care if you just try it once, like eating something, right? Like,
Mm,
I don't care if you just try it once, right? Like, and if you don't like it, that's okay. You don't have to finish it. Um, and we'll try again later sometime, right? When it comes to like doing new things, man, I don't know. I think kids just really watch you. I really think that they watch that you are the example on what they follow for the most part.
mm-hmm.
If they don't see you trying new things, if they don't see you pushing yourself to out of your comfort zone and talking to them about it, I don't I don't see how they're going to.
Right.
And when they see that, when they see you doing things that you don't want to do all the time, but then see how happy you are and you're talking about, like, man, that was so great. I'm so glad I did it. Whatever it might be, and making yourself vulnerable and communicating that with him and sharing that with him, I think it gives them that confidence. And
Mm-hmm.
also knowing that you're going to be there to to help them out and pick them up when they fall down. Yeah, I think there is a fine line though between pushing them and not pushing them too hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that answer. That's a great answer of leading by example. And it put an image in my mind of when I was, when I was younger, I grew up with three younger brothers, and like when big thunderstorms would come through, and we're all downstairs in the basement, and we're standing there and away from the windows, and there might be a tornado or a severe thunderstorm, and we're all scared. Like at any moment, if I looked up at my dad and he was, like he was fine, I knew that everything was going to be okay. So it's like, all right, the second dad starts to get scared, they're like, oh crap, here we go, the world's over. So I
Mhm.
think, like you said, a lot can be said of showing them that you'll do it and that it is okay that you do it, and showing that
Yep.
confidence and not being afraid of whatever it may be. So a lot to be
We've
said.
even done things that both of us were uncomfortable doing at the same time. It's like, hey, if you do this with me, I'll do it, or something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's tricking them, right? Like, I really don't want to do this, even though you don't care.
Right.
Little manipulation thing, like, this is something that I really don't want to do. I'm really scared about doing this. I'm gonna help you out. It's like, yeah, it works when they're younger. So then you do it and you're like, yeah, celebrate,
Uh-huh.
and next thing you know, they did it and they helped you through it. So
Uh-huh.
uh, it'll be my speech at their wedding or something when I'll spill the beans on that or something.
Right.
If anybody
uh,
knows me, I'm willing to do almost anything and I'm pretty crazy. So,
uh-huh.
but,
That's
kids change you. There's a lot of things that I don't do anymore that it's not worth it. I got
mhm.
responsibilities. I got family wife and kids that, some of my hunts out west. I can remember the last time I was out there, I did a solo hunt. I didn't have an inReach. I didn't have any way of communicating. I was 40 miles away from the nearest town. Like, the only way to get attention in that area is to start a fire, a forest fire to get somebody out there.
Jeez.
And I'm climbing this mountain. I'm at the top of this mountain, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Like, I'm looking over the edge, and I start going down, and all of a sudden I almost box myself in on this cliff. And it's like, I don't know if I can get back up. And it is a long way down. And I remember at that moment right there, I remember saying to myself, I'm not as young as I once was. And I have people that rely on me now. So I need to stop doing stupid stuff
Mhm.
and stop taking as much risk because it's not worth the reward. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, you got to balance out what you do, but still take the risks and chances. Because if we stop taking that adventure, we kind of start, I feel like we start losing ourselves a little bit.
Mhm. I agree. Then you start turning into just a monotonous, life. I mean, I agree. I think there is a balance. You don't want to be, too scared of getting out there and doing anything, afraid of getting hurt or whatever. But yeah, that's a very good point. You don't want to get yourself in a pickle. You left me hanging, by the way. Did you make it off the cliff, or
I'm still out there. I
you
I
set up
did
a house up
I
there and
I did. It was probably a 50-foot drop, and I didn't have rope. That was the thing. Like, if I slipped and there was pine needles all over, it was scary. I was white knuckling it for a while. And I sat there for like 10 minutes, like, how am I going to get out of this? And there was a tree that was growing up probably 4 feet away from the edge of the cliff that I was on,
Mhm.
and I had my backpack, I had my rifle, I unloaded my rifle, I slung it over my shoulder, and I shimmied down that tree. So
Dang.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
I think there's something to
yeah.
be said too about that scenario and like the way you were raised. Um, and how long ago was this?
2020.
Oh, 4 years ago. I can edit that part out
It
if you
took
want.
me a long time to realize I should probably stop taking some of the risks that I take, or at least be a little bit more calculated in the risks that I do.
That's awesome. That's funny. But the way you were raised, probably all the way back to when you were growing up on a farm, or when you were. in the military or at the sheriff's office as a sergeant, or even now, you were you were in a pickle and you had to figure out a way to get out of it, knowing that shoot, maybe a lot of people would have panicked at that point and just fallen right off. Um, and it's a that could be a great analogy for life too. You find yourself in a pickle and you're like, okay, well now what do I do? I've made this decision and now I'm here and I got to make the most of it somehow. I could fall or I could try to climb back up, but it's probably not going to work out. Maybe it's time I try to look for a tree to shimmy down. You got to get a little creative.
It's a
That's
good thing I
awesome.
like pickles. So, the last one I remember you talking about was making lemonade out of lemons. Well, drink the pickle juice. That's good. I like that stuff.
I like that
Less
too.
sugar. Less
Well,
less added sugar.
100%. Isn't it good for helping like sports injuries or like cramps? You drink pickle juice and your legs don't cramp up, or is that a myth?
Yeah. No, I think
That's
I, I think it's has something to do with it. You got sodium. You got you know different things that help replace the electrolytes. Yeah.
because you're a so no, you dabbled on the nutrition thing a little bit. I'd be interested to kind of pick your brain and see what you had to say about it. But what got you into the fitness journey that you're in right now, or has it been something that you've always done since young when you were younger? I know wrestling takes a lot of physical fitness, and you got to have proper nutrition in order to make weight and whatnot. Is that something that started there, or what? Why now? Why decide to get in the nutrition and the workout routine that you have right now?
Well, I think when you go through high school, I mean, as a kid, you're always running around. You're always, especially working on a farm, you're throwing hay bales. Your farm kids have strength that town kids don't, right? So, you're doing those things. You're always active in sports, wrestling. You always have a purpose. You're always working for performing better and all that stuff. I would say in my 20s, after I got out of high school, after I got out of the college thing, and I got into a career and I got married, life got busier. I didn't have time to go to the gym. I didn't have time as much time to dedicate, the I would say what we call the high school workouts, right? Where you go to the weight room and you lift the big four, you're doing bench, deadlift, squat, which I hated, curls, you're trying to look good. You're doing those things, but there's not really much of a guide on what to do after that. So I think so many people, so many guys, and they go into their mid 20s, 30s, even 40s, and they're still trying to go back to what they had learned in high school, and it's not as functional as what we should be doing for our lives. When I was 30, 31, something like that, I had a torn, well, it wasn't a torn meniscus, but I had a knee issue. Hurt, locked up. It did all that stuff. And they said, well, when guy checked out finally, and they told me, well, either we go in, we clean it up, and it will be good in a week or two, you'll be back to full normal, or it's going to be, so my knee, on the knee joint right here, I had cartilage that was like coming off of the joint. And so like if it's bad enough, we're gonna end up doing this other procedure and you're gonna be laid up for like 6 months.
Jeez.
It's like, so I won't know until you go in. And they're like, no, we won't. I'm like, that's crazy. So um they went in, they said it wasn't bad enough at this point to do the full big surgery. So they cleaned out like 10 pieces of cartilage. Um and afterwards I was like at a heavy moment in my life, and I was probably like 205, 210.
Mhm.
Um and I'm 5'7", so I got some pictures that I look at every now and then. So, nope, gotta go work out right now.
Mhm.
I can remember at that point, I can remember being in a state of mentality like, well, this is it. I'm old. I'm past my prime. I'm not going to recover from this, because it was sore for a while afterwards, right? Like,
Mhm.
it hurt to run. It hurt to do a bunch of things. And for about 6 months, I just like gave up. Like, this is it. I ain't gonna be able to do any physical activity anymore. That type of thing. Like a little over dramatic, you know. And the guy at the jail, MT, I'll use his initials because I don't have permission to say it, but MT, he did this 1 mile a day. He told me about the story of this mission of this guy. He's like, all he does is 1 mile a day. Like, that's his goal. You get 1 mile a day, you check off the box. I'm like, well, 1 mile a day, like, it doesn't seem too bad, you know? And he goes, no, you just try to keep the streak going. So I joined that challenge with him, and I was like, 1 mile a day. That's all I could. I could walk it, I could run it, I can do whatever. So I did that. Next thing you know, it turned into 2 miles a day, and then 3 miles a day. And then I got hired on as the fire department. I realized like the responsibility to my team members, fellow firefighters, and the citizen, community, how important that job is and to be fit. And then all during that time, like my wife got into uh, health and wellness as well and coaching and with Body, or which was Beach Body at the time.
Hmm.
And so we developed the lifestyle. So I started feeling better, right? Like, okay, I'm not going to be laid up forever, you know? And so it's like, this needs to be a lifestyle. Like, as soon as we go dormant, as soon as we stop, like, this is something that we need more now than we did in our 20s or our teens, because it's harder to get back to where we want to be if we stop, you know.
Hmm.
So this needs to be a lifestyle, some type of motion and activity. And realizing that, it took me a long time to realize, like, you don't need to have a gym. You don't need to, these type of things. You can do whatever you want to do as long as you're having movement of 20 to 40 minutes a day. Um, do walking, lifting, whatever you want. So we incorporated that into our lifestyle, and we changed our environment around, not just the working out. Like, I'd work out like crazy, but I wasn't getting the goals that I wanted like I did before. Like, in my 20s, I could just maybe eat a little bit better for 2 weeks, go run 5 miles a day, and I'd be down 20 pounds, 15 pounds in 2 weeks,
Right.
and it doesn't work that way anymore.
Hmm.
So it's like, well, eating better, eating better, dialing on your nutrition, all affects how I feel on a daily basis, how much inflammation I have, the excess sugars that we're eating as a society. When I cut that out, when I cut it down to no more than 10 added sugars a day, I'm feeling better than I've ever felt before.
Mm.
So it's little things like that we've implemented in our lives, and we have cheat days, like kind of cycles and stuff like that. But
Sure.
it's like, oh, I need to get back into it. But exercise, nutrition, it all fits the goals and what I want in life, for
Hmm.
to be able to accomplish what I want to do in life. So
Absolutely.
that was a long
So,
answer. Sorry.
no, it's perfect. I appreciate it. So,
Yeah.
with that in mind, for someone who's struggling to find the motivation to start a fitness routine or eat healthier, what practical advice would you give to help them take that first step and then stay consistent, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I would say you have to have a why. You have to have a reason why you want to start something new, a new habit or a new, because we get busy in life, and so we are weighing our actions every day. What are we going to do? Are we going to do this or that? So you have to have a why, and you have to have a reason why on what you're doing. So set a goal and break it down. Like, what are you going to do? Are you going to start off? I would start off small. I would start off to, you know, 20 minutes a day, light, cardio or whatever it might be, and slowly build up to it. Because if you're like me, for 2 decades, I'd get the motivation and I'd start something and it would go all in, and I would be absolutely sore and dead
Mm-hmm.
for the next 2 weeks, and I wouldn't enjoy it. I would not enjoy it, and I would fall off, and then I'd get back on. And so start off small, choose something that you enjoy and that fits your goals and what you're doing. But you're not in high school anymore, or most people aren't in high school anymore that might be
Right.
listening to this. I'm not in high school
Yeah,
anymore.
me
I'll say
neither.
that. Um,
If you
and
are,
so
keep
our
it up.
bodies, our bodies change. Our bodies change, and so we don't recover as quickly, and it takes a little bit of time. So you want to think long term, and you want to plan long term, and um, and if you need help, find an accountability partner or a
Mm-hmm.
coach to help you out.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
It really is a game changer. I've been doing a little better recently at getting back into the gym, and it was a lot of in part by my personal trainer. I see him at least once a week, and I know that if I don't work out on my own time, I go in there, he's gonna kick my butt. There's been plenty of times where I, halfway through the session, then I find myself hugging the toilet because it's he's just brutal. But yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot that can be said. It's a lot easier to stay consistent with it when you got somebody else that's relying on you and you're relying on them. I like that, and I really like that 1 mile a day thing. I hate cardio. I hate running, but I think that 1 mile a day is something that I can get
Yeah.
on board. I might have to talk to this Mr. MT.
Yeah. He got me kind of started that with a cascade of a bunch of other things that did, but I would
Yeah.
say that was a big influence. And the other thing too is like when your life gets busy, and you get more, you get a significant other, spouse, kids, career, extra careers, fire, all those different things.
Right.
Choose activities that if you can find one activity or one decision that you do that hits multiple areas of your life,
Mm.
those are going to help you stick to it. So if you can pick out, I work out with my wife every morning at 5:30. I'm blessed that she cares about her health as well and that she has
Mm-hmm.
routines. And so if I would almost honestly say that I wouldn't probably hardly work out in the mornings if it wasn't for her, and she's my accountability. So finding those things that you enjoy, even going for walks, like some of the times in the summertime, springtime, fall, going for walks with my wife in the summer or around the block, listening to a podcast, growth day, getting our mindset right, um, and just having a conversation with each other. For one, you're getting your fitness your goals, you're getting your own mindset, personal development goals, but you're also getting your relationship goals met too, and having that one-on-one time with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, bam, you're hitting 3 areas of your life out of the seven right there.
That's amazing.
And
Yeah.
it's free, so you're not affecting the financial portion of it because walking's for free. So
Right.
yeah, so I
That's
would I would
awesome.
say that choose activity like playing catch with my son. That's physical activity, but it's also getting them involved, and you're spending bonding time with them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in dad's dance for my at Music General, so
Oh,
we do dad's dance and stuff for with my daughter. She loves it, so and it's fun.
that's awesome.
So yeah, choose activities that fall into multiple categories because the family, spiritual, physical, mental, financial, career, or personal, the Zig Ziglar's wheel of life, right?
Mm-hmm.
The more balanced that is, the more fulfilled your life is going to be. And
Mm-hmm.
the secret of it is you're never going to be fully balanced out, but the goal is to be as much balanced as you can.
Absolutely. I think you just read my mind because the next question, as you were talking about family, as a husband and a father, how do you approach living with intention in your family life, and how do you make time for what matters most, even with all the responsibilities you mentioned? And I think you kind of answered it there. But as I asked that question, does anything else come into mind, and how you balance being a husband and a father, and what matters most to you?
Um, I would say communication with the family is huge. Communicating and having an understanding of why we're doing the things that we're doing. If you're just, I'm going to go work out at the gym for an hour and a half, and the kids are young, they're toddlers, and the wife is like, You're just going to leave for 2 hours and let me have, I've been with them all day and now you're going to leave again. That's going to be tough on the relationship. But
Right.
if you are able to communicate with them and say, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, um, I want to be healthy for you guys, this and that. When I get home, and you got to sacrifice. When I get home, I will take care of them. I will do the diapers. I'll do whatever it might be. Um, you know, Communication is huge, and making sure that you're on the same page is important. My
Hmm.
kids know I could get a fire call at any moment,
Right.
and we had one on Christmas morning one morning. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning, and the kids weren't up quite yet. And it was a house fire, structure fire. It was 20 some below zero. I mean, no kidding. And I was gone until noon.
Hmm.
And I can remember somebody saying, it's Christmas. Why are you leaving the family and all that stuff? I'm like, if it was your house, would you want somebody not showing up or somebody showing up? Like,
Right.
it, it's what we do. So we
Yeah.
having those communication with the family and why we do what we do. For one, I think they learn how to process how to do things themselves and the reasons why they're doing what they're doing.
Hmm.
They're also like gives them an example of values and motivations, and I think it's good for them to
Absolutely.
know that we're going to sacrifice certain things for this reason,
Hmm.
and that's something that we're going to do, and it's honorable or whatever it might be.
Right. I love that. That's an awesome answer. It's like explaining your, having that why and then also explaining to them what that why is and why you do that. And I agree. I think it does play a toll from my own experiences, like growing up. Um, I remember when I first started dating Courtney, we there were some times where we did long distance too, and I'd go up there and we'd hang out and I'd go like a week without seeing her, so I wanted to spend time with her. Like that whole weekend, I didn't want to leave her side, and she was like, "Well, I work all week, then I come home for the weekend, and then you're up here, and then I have to prepare everything for that, and I get overwhelmed. Sometimes I just need time to sit aside and read my book because I need to get my mind right and be my best so that I can come over here and then cater to your needs and spend time with you." And at first, I was almost offended, like, "Well, you don't want to spend time with me? Like, well, I drove all this way. What in the world?" But she was able to explain it that way. So, I think explaining to your kids and having that communication with your family, they're not like, well, dad doesn't care about us. He's gone on Christmas morning because he's got he's choosing work over us. It's like, no, I chose this to not over you, but it's something that needs to be done. It's a service kind of thing, and explaining to them, hey, if our house is on fire on Christmas, would you want somebody to come help? And then they're like, oh, okay, like that, just helping paint that picture. That's something I guess I hadn't really thought of before, and that's
Well,
amazing.
I think creating the balance too, like how do you make everything all work? You got to be in the present.
Hmm.
Like we live by calendars here and schedules. I got a work one and I got a personal one, and I write time block. I put in important things in there. For work, I literally will time block periods of time on what I'm going to be doing, and I'll block out certain areas so no appointments happen at that time because I need to work on other certain tasks, and I don't want that to be interrupted. And I got a personal one too, calendar. And my wife has hers. Aubrey has hers. Ethan has his.
Oh wow.
So all of our events get put on those calendars and we share those calendars. And that way we can look at those calendars and be able to make decisions on if we're available at a certain time, if that calendar's filled up in that spot or not. Or we can look ahead and say, all right, that's important. I want to make sure I get that, instead of being like, what are we doing this weekend, honey?
I
Why
told you
am I
four
always
times.
keeping time on what we're doing? No, you look on the calendar and say, "Ooh, I'm going to prepare for that." I'm gonna
Yeah.
I'm gonna get ready for that. So having those calendars and time blocking are good, and then that way like it's easy to get distracted. So if you got something time where I'm going to spend time with my kids this weekend and being intentional on that moment, and you're with them, They love that. It's
Mm-hmm.
quality time. But if you're on your phone scrolling through and all that stuff, and that it's I get that way too. But if you're scrolling through and you're with them, well, I was with you, huh? Yeah, but you didn't spend time with me, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's a big difference between intentionality and quality time and just time in the same vicinity of each other. And
Mm-hmm.
same thing with work. When you're at work, work so you don't have to bring work home. When you're at home, spending time with that so you're not thinking about being with your family or doing something else. Like put your effort into what you're doing in the moment.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's beautiful. Good answers, man. I'm taking a bunch of notes. I'm learning a lot here. I appreciate this conversation. Got a few more questions for you here. I try to keep it around an hour. The last one went a little long, so got a few more here for you. And then anything else you want to add, feel free to throw it in there. But you mentioned intentions, being intentional with spending your time with your family and being wherever you're at. As someone who's served in different roles in your life, whether it was being in wrestling or working as a kid when you were younger, being in the military or at the jail or in your current job now, what do you think is the key to finding meaning in whatever phase of life or work you're in? And how does someone know when they found their true calling? I know it's a very loaded, deep question, and it could go a lot of ways, but based off of your experiences in life, what do you think? What do you think
Um,
about that one?
I I'm learning. I think in the moment, like let's go back to what you had said before. What your purpose is in life and how do you find that? I think we have purposes in our lives um, in the moments, and I I think that can change. I think God can call us to do other things, like if they might be stepping stones. And so, at one point, let's say working at the job. I got a maid. I'm working at the jail. I got a good county job. I got great benefits. I got great pay. Like I got no intentions of leaving. Yeah, there's some good days and bad days, but I'm making some good impact. Like I'm good at what I do. Um, I'll be here till I retire. Like this is what I was made for. I'm good at it, right? And then I feel like God threw me a curveball and said, "Here's where you are now, but I'm going to take you to another spot."
Mm-hmm.
And if you get set in a moment to where you think that you're where you need to be, or you're like, well, there's nothing else out there for me. Like I'm just going to stay in my comfort zone and I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing because I'm good at it. You never know what you're going to be missing. You might be missing God's calling. And it was a big leap. It was a big jump to go from that comfort of having that security to getting going for a different job as a county veteran service officer. Like big changes, and
Mm-hmm.
not even sure much about it. There's no training for it until you're on the job. There's no like a lot of things, right?
A lot of unknown. Yeah.
But it was a way for me to serve the veteran community as a veteran, and the impact that I see now is it's like this is what I'm called to do right
Mm-hmm.
now. Is that going to change? I don't see that changing, but it might. There might be a different calling for me. I don't know. But at this point right now, I'm not searching for the next thing because I'm loving what I do. But I need to also be aware, like maybe I need to go someplace else. That is not a loaded answer. Like I don't know. I'm just saying you need to be ready for. You might have a purpose in a certain moment in your life,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't mean that that's where you're going to be for the rest of your life. So that's kind of what I learned in my journey is I can pretty much do anything that I want, and with time I'll be good at it. I have that confidence and skill set and everything, but what is it that God's calling me to do?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, yeah. What else do you have in there? That was a big question.
Yeah.
Living
No.
with intention.
Yeah. I think you pretty
Li-
much summed it up.
yeah, I think living with the intention of if you're going to commit to something, you need to commit. Do it, do it full out. Um, and have a plan on how you're going to do it. Then I wrote down in here, I saw a saying here real quick. there's a big difference between motivation and discipline. Um, Motivation gets you started, but discipline is what keeps you going even when you aren't motivated. Discipline is intention driven by purpose.
Mm.
So that kind of ties into it, I think, a little bit is you have to have that purpose, and that's what drives everything. So
Hmm. Love that. And when you were talking, it reminded me of a song. I can't remember who sings it or how it all goes, other than it's "I am called to be where I am right now, in the middle of the fire, but I have no doubt you are here with me." And that's, life is kind of like that fire. It's and back to the iron example, like we're continually being molded in that fire, and sometimes you think we're going to be used for this kind of thing, and you're like, okay, well, here we go, and then God puts you back in the fire and hits you a couple times. You're like, nope, you're going to be this tool, and you're going to be used over here instead. And I liked how you touched on it too. Like, it doesn't mean that that one thing wasn't what you were supposed to be doing at that time. Like, you're called to be where you are right now for a reason. Are you going to be there for the rest of your life? Maybe, maybe not. But that doesn't mean that you can't, go from being in the military to be a very good, correctional officer, sergeant, and then going and to be, the next thing, who knows? Maybe you be a manager at Costco or something. You can still,
yeah,
just because you're not what you thought you were going to be, doesn't mean you can't be who you are. Just be you, and use that to excel in any area. When you're confident in yourself, I think that's huge. It's so huge to be able to understand what your purpose is isn't necessarily your career or your calling. I think purpose and calling are can be different things. You can live within purpose day in and day out, and your calling can be, I don't know. It's hard. It's interesting to think about. And anybody listening, if you can decipher what I'm thinking, please let me know.
right. Yep.
It's
We want to match up our purpose in as much areas of our lives that we can.
mm-hmm,
And yeah, no, that's good. For me, when I look back and reflect, hindsight 2020, I
mm-hmm,
wouldn't be the I wouldn't be the veteran service officer that I am today. And I've been there for 5 years now. It took a lot of hard work, but I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for my experience 12 years in the jail,
mm-hmm,
learning how to talk to people, how to do interpersonal communication skills, how to lead others, how to um, a lot of different things that you had to learn. I would not be as good as how I am right now in this role had not been for those other experiences. And
mm-hmm.
I've talked with a few other uh, few people, and it's like there's a promotion coming up, and oh, I'm gonna quick get busy, and I'm gonna do a lot of I'm gonna show them how good I am. It's like every day that you show up to work is a job interview. It's literally a job interview. Every day that you show up, every day that you do something, people are watching. It's literally your job interview until an option comes up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know how many times opportunities where it's like you work as if you're working for the Lord, you know, uh, and you're doing the things with joy, happiness, and all that stuff. And it's like you catch people's attention, and it's like, hey, opportunities pop up that left and right. When a promotion or another job opportunity comes up, and they know what you've been doing for the last, you've
Mm-hmm.
been doing as bare minimum as you can for the last year or whatever it might be, and then 2 weeks before the promotion or job opportunity or whatever, and all of a sudden you're excelling, they're going to remember all the other paths and the impression of what you did before, not the 2 weeks that you started like really driving up for it. So
Right.
anybody listening, if every day is you don't know what opportunities are going to come up in life that could be a beneficial or help you out. So even when you don't want to, perform as if you're performing at the highest quality. Because for
Mm-hmm.
one, you owe it to yourself and your family, and because that's what we should be doing, right? But two, like at the end of the day, you're going to look back and you're going to say, I worked my butt off and I feel proud about that. Even though I might not have got recognized that day, it's daily deposits.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually the compounded interest is going to build up and it's going to be good. So,
Mm-hmm.
and even if it isn't, you still worked your butt off, and you can be
Absolutely.
proud of how you worked. So,
Hmm. It's almost like, leaving it all on the court, regardless of what game it is. And it reminds me of when I was in high school. It was my senior year, and we were going into the playoffs of soccer. We weren't the greatest, and we knew that, but we had fun as a team, and we won our first game, and then I think it was our second game that we were playing that would have got us into to advance. Well, we ended up losing that one, so then our third and final game was we were competing for, I think, I want to say it was third place. I think the third and fourth place if we won or lost, and we got in the huddle before the game had started, and I said, "Hey guys, just because we're not in the first place game doesn't mean we can't play like we are. Even if we're in third place."
yep.
And we ended up winning. We ended up getting the third place trophy, and it was a lot of fun. But those guys were like, you know what? Yeah, just because I'm not gonna play like I'm playing in the third place game or like I'm irrelevant or it doesn't matter. Like, and same thing goes along with what you'd said. I may not be a sergeant now. I may not be a supervisor now. I may not be a dad now. I may not be, all these things right now. But someday that's going to come along, and it may be sooner than you'd think. And if we're performing right now to the best of our abilities and not, being that wandering generality, like I've talked about before, from Zig Ziglar's brought that up, wandering generality versus meaningful specific.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said before, I think we were talking about this. Life's too short. Might have been somebody else that was talking about it, but life's just too short not to live it up, and not
Yeah.
to waste your talents and waste what you have to give. A lot of us have been really blessed, so why not get out there and try to bless others with that? And
Yeah. Well,
go
and I
ahead.
think if I can finish
Yeah,
that
yeah,
that sense,
absolutely.
you brought up a really good point. Is it's not about our own successes. Like it's good to succeed at things, but it's about what legacy are we going to leave?
Mm,
Is it about us, or is it about how we help other people out, or what we can pass on to them? Um, are they going to remember us for how much we served or cared, or how we made them feel, or are they going to remember us for all the self accolades that and achievements that we got to do for ourselves?
right.
So going for more success is not a bad thing if we can impact as many people along the way that we can and help
Mm-hmm.
them out. Being a leader like I try to set my staff up for making them be able to replace me, do my job, or get a promotion or another job in a different county. Heaven forbid they have to leave, but I want them to be I want them to be so well cared for in my office that if they so choose to get an opportunity, that they can take that opportunity if this isn't right place to be, or if they want that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so developing the staff to be able to replace me, for one, it gives me a competitive nature, because well, crap, they could just replace me. I might get fired, so I better keep up and up myself, right?
Right.
But at the same time, I don't want them to be stuck where they are the whole time. So how
Mm-hmm.
can we make that impact on others? How can we improve their lives, and make that impact to be able to pass on that positivity and that good influence on other people? That's the
Absolutely.
legacy that I want to leave. I could care less about my own achievements and everything, but sometimes it takes those achievements to be able to make that impact and reach out to more people.
Mm-hmm. I love that, and it reminds me of so I have a tattoo on my forearm, and it's "See You at the Top." And you mentioned Zig Ziglar earlier, and his book is all about "See You at the Top." And Michael Chandler here, he's been really influential in my life and bringing that quote to life for me. But it's all about "See You at the Top." Isn't you're going to see me up there when I become my supervisor or a sergeant or whatever it is. When I say "see you at the top," it's I want to see you there with me at the top of that mountain,
Yep.
not hanging there trying to figure out a way to shimmy down a tree because you got stuck. But at the top, I want to see you up there, and I
Yeah.
want to bring as many people as I can up there with me.
It's lonely at the top unless you got other people with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Good.
Well, awesome, man. This has been an awesome conversation. Like I said, I got a lot of notes out of it, and this is one I'll probably go back and listen to a couple times. I think we pretty much wrapped it up. I think we
We'll just have to have another one again at some point.
that's been the great thing about the people I've had on so far is like you sit down and you start recording and you're like, oh my gosh, it's been an hour and 9 minutes already. Okay, well,
Yeah.
it's been a lot of fun. It's super cool to be able to talk with people, and you're one of those guys that I've looked up to, following your stuff on your page. You post the stuff with you and your wife working out, the stuff that I watch too, and it is inspiring. So I appreciate you
Same.
and thank you for putting in the work in yourself, because I am one of those people that is watching, and I want to see you up at the top for sure.
Thank you. You too.
All right, buddy. It's been real. Thank you, everybody, for listening. This has been episode 3 of the Iron Purpose podcast with Erik Flowers. Stay sharp, everybody.